Firearm-related violence is the leading cause of death for children in the United States. Studies have shown that each homicide costs the Milwaukee community $2 million. Although the financial cost is high, the psychological and emotional impact to families and communities is far higher. Addressing gun violence as a public health issue is a top priority for the Comprehensive Injury Center at the Medical College of Wisconsin. We are committed to addressing disparities in violence victimization in partnership with communities across the state. We are proud to partner with TMJ4 News on this very important conversation, Voices for Justice.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Gideon Verdeen.
And I'm Susan Kim. We are here at Thrive on Collaboration in Milwaukee's Bronzeville neighborhood. This is a community hub, a welcoming space for people to work and be together. And it's why we chose this location to share Voices for Justice.
This community conversation comes from the heart and experience of Deborah Gillespie, founder of Mothers Against Gun Violence.
I thought it was important for our community to learn that our police department is working to make a difference, but also learn what does one do to navigate that.
Deborah lost her son to gun violence in 2003. She turned that pain into action, advocating for other families who have suffered traumatic loss. In this TMJ4 News special, you'll meet 4 of those families and learn about the unsolved homicides of their loved ones.
These families, along with the Milwaukee Police Department and the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office, sat down together with us for a candid conversation meant to provide guidance, understanding, and trust, and another step toward creating that thriving community.
First off, I want to thank everybody for coming to the table to have these discussions, which sometimes are hard, but I think we can all agree they need to be had.
As part of this, the families have come up with questions that they have had over their time after losing a loved one. And Jaquel, you have volunteered to go first, so go ahead with your question.
Sure. So my question is regarding communication. I am a person that believes in accurate communication, effective communication. But as a wife who lost her husband, and you hear, we have leads, we have this, we have that, and then it's, there's a communication and then it's all of a sudden stops. It makes me now feel as a wife, as a mother to our child, he's a grandfather and so forth, I have nothing to say that they're still, we're still looking, we're still doing this. Even a phone call to say, this is not a cold case, we're still doing something, makes me feel that I can still have a trust, to make me feel that my husband is still, the case is important to them. So I guess that's my question is, why do we stop communicating when we're still suffering and they're active cases? So that means the perpetrator is still out there.
So first of all, let me give you my condolences for your loss. We recognize that communication, and you said a very important word there, trust. We recognize that communication is a huge part of that trust that we want you to have in us. I could sit here and say, and I will say, that we haven't forgotten. We still work on cases. We'll never forget. We'll never stop working on cases when there's leads that can be pursued. I recognize that we have let you down in the past, and I'm not just saying you. This may be echoed with other people here this afternoon, but we have taken steps and will be taking steps, and I think an inspector can speak to that a little better than I can, to help with that communication. We always want you to tell us what's going on. We ask people to cooperate. We ask witnesses to come forward. We want this information to come to us. We also have a responsibility to have that information go back to you, and we have to put measures in place to make that happen. So, Inspector can talk a little.
I thank you for your question, and I appreciate it. And this does come up a lot, unfortunately, and it's not for lack of care on the department's part. It really isn't. If I could show you how hard our detectives work day in and day out, I think you would be touched by it. But some of the things that we are implementing is for the first time ever, our department, we're going to be hiring victim witness coordinators, essentially, who will specialize in reaching out to co-victims of homicide, witnesses, talking about trauma, grief, the processes, procedures, why things are done a certain way. That's not to say that you can't call and get a detective. It's to assist us with that, because there are a lot of cases, there are a lot of calls, and these victim witness coordinators will be specially trained on dealing with people who are grieving at the same time as well. And it can also be act as a good segue from our victims and witnesses to our detectives, and to help get information and leads out there. But again, it's something we do realize that the communication, it's, as I said, unfortunately, it's not unique.
And I would encourage you to speak to any detective that you can get on the phone. Any detective is going to be familiar with all our cases and have access to that information. If you're not satisfied with the detective, speak to a supervisor, ask for a homicide detective supervisor, and they can be responsive that way. I do want to say that my expectation of my detectives is to be out and be proactive in their investigations. Frequently and most oftentimes that involves them not being at their desks when they're working. That involves being on the street and knocking on doors and collecting video evidence or other types of evidence. The returning of calls, that's something we can get better at, and we should be better at.
I appreciate that. As a community, I don't think we're asking for specifics because the cases are still active. We don't want to lose that partnership of that our person is still being serviced. And I think by you breaking that down just a little bit more, that's going to help us to kind of be more at ease, to rest at night, to understand, me personally, I have a 4-year-old that every day asks for his father, and I don't even know what to tell him. So it's hard for, as a mom, as a mother, as a wife, to still press forward when everything is on a pause. So I appreciate that.
Born March 31st, 1975, Damon Bates was known for his warm heart, infectious laugh, and unwavering loyalty to those he loved. A devoted father and husband, he put his family first.
I had an amazing husband. I was blessed.
His wife, Jaquel, remembers his kindness and generosity. Damon worked as a mentor to young men.
The impact that he had on those young men, to the point that they will call him dad. What does that say? He was a large man in stature, but he was a gentle giant.
Damon's love for his family was limitless. He was their protector and their provider.
He really was a genuine, great man that was taken from us.
On October 20th, 2024, Damon called his wife after work to say he was running errands and would be home late.
The last text was that he was meeting up with someone was talking to him. And that was it. There were no more communications. Nothing.
Hours later,
to get a phone call that I have to go down here, I have to go to identify if this is my husband. And then the reality comes, could this be true? I'm sorry.
At 1:42 a.m., Damon's body was found near 37th and Clark. He had been shot twice in the leg, striking a vital artery. Despite the ongoing investigation, no arrests have been made, leaving his family searching for answers.
Please don't let them give up. Don't give up on my husband. Don't give up on this case. It got to be something out there. What else are we missing? What else can we do?
Though Damon's life was cut short, his memory lives in the hearts of those who knew him best. His family clings to any hope for a breakthrough in the case.
I would love to get a phone call with the news that we got them. Just to hear we got them.
Is there something that can be done along the way so the families don't feel like they are in this no person's land? So why is it so hard for families to get that, return phone call or an email or a text or anything like that?
I agree. It should be done. It should be. The return phone call does not take a long time. The assurance of letting you know that we haven't forgotten, I can assure you that we haven't, but if we don't tell you that or we don't communicate to you, that doesn't rest your mind, as you mentioned. So you're right. We can do better at that type of backwards communication, I would call it.
Who determines if the perpetrator is guilty or innocent without a trial or a hearing?
Yeah, it's a question for us, certainly. And I just want to say to all of you, thank you for being here and for being willing to share the losses you've suffered in your life with all of us. And I hope we can answer questions and be responsive to you, because that's our fundamental responsibility. To answer your question, the district attorney's office has the ultimate decision-making power to decide whether to charge somebody with a crime or not. And that's in each and every matter that comes before us. The police department is able to arrest people on a standard we call probable cause, which means perhaps that somebody probably did the crime. We are obligated to make a charging decision based on whether we can prove a case beyond a reasonable doubt, which is a much higher burden of proof than probable cause. And it is our ethical obligation to make charging decisions with that burden of proof in mind, because ultimately, if we bring someone forward only based on probable cause, and we think probably, but we're not sure enough beyond a reasonable doubt, and the trial doesn't go well, and that person is convicted or acquitted, that was our only chance at that individual, for example. And the obligations we have are fundamental to each and every person who comes through the system. We wouldn't really want a system, I don't think, where everybody gets charged in criminal court just based on probable cause, because the evidence really is higher for a jury to decide, and that should be the standard that the prosecutor employs in order to bring that case forward. So what that means, of course, is that we have to make sometimes tough decisions when the cases are presented to us. We have to look very closely at the evidence. We have to consider all the possible defenses in a case, and then we have to make our best judgment based on the evidence in front of us. And we often use our experience in other similar types of cases to see where we were successful and where we may not have been successful, and reasons why. And we do this, and we don't do it in a vacuum either. We have a team in our homicide unit, for example, prosecutors who are very experienced and who talk with one another all the time about their cases and seek one another's counsel about wanting to make sure we make the right decisions. And that's ultimately our responsibility to do that.
Well, with that being said, why is it that the victims never get witness statements from the witness or the perpetrator? His statement, I never received anything on what the police said or who they talked to or what they did, anything. So that back to communications.
Yeah, and that's a fair question too. I think it sometimes depends on the timing of it, because, for example, if we're still in the midst of reviewing a case, it's very difficult for us to share information specifically about the case. But if it's at the point where the review of the case is over with, for example, and there's nothing further, that could be a different position in which perhaps there could be information shared. The other practical reality to keep in mind, though, is with homicides in particular, there is no statute of limitations, which means there is never a time limit within which we have to make a decision. Unlike every other case that we review in Wisconsin, in homicide, there is no statute of limitations. So in some cases, we still may not share information about the reports because the investigation is ongoing, or we strongly believe someone may be responsible for that, but we feel like we need additional evidence or some other statement, like a confession later on to some third party, which happens at times. And so there could be a reluctance for us to give out that information also for that reason.
It's something I wouldn't wish on no parent. Was fun-loving. He kept a smile, and just losing him just hurts so much. It's just a part of me missing right now.
Yeah.
Cameron Smith recently found his passion fixing cars. He shared videos of himself helping others, often for free. It just came naturally.
Getting my boy together.
He was a hands-on type of guy, Anything he could learn about working on the vehicle, he did.
Cameron's father took me back to the gas station where his son was shot and killed, walking us through the final moments of Cameron's life.
Jakari A. Colbert, the perpetrator, was walking along right here, with a gun in his right hand. My son came from this way, drove in, and as he passed Jakari, he was on the sidewalk. Jakari lifted his arm and just started shooting through the back glass, through the side glass.
Miraculously, after being shot multiple times, Cameron got out of the car and rushed the shooter. A struggle began inside the station.
Once he got in there, he grabbed him and started wrestling, trying to get his gun out of his hand.
You know, what stuck out to me is Cameron was shot in the back.
Yes. Yes, shot in the back 3 times and then the back of the head. The tape surely shows him being ambushed and murdered.
I miss him a lot. I miss him so much. I don't even like to stand over here because I know that's the spot that he got the sheets at. He was just a loving person and I miss him.
That's Cameron's 8-year-old nephew, a child trying to understand why someone who made him smile is now gone. How's it feel knowing that your son's killer is still free?
It's heartbreaking. It's like they're killing him again.
To those who loved him, Cameron was a provider for his 3 little girls and a dad who never stopped smiling.
He's still not at peace, and I'm not at peace until, he gets some justice.
And Kevin, can you elaborate for us a little bit on your frustration with the investigation, considering your case is very unique? Your son's murder was captured on surveillance camera?
Yes, my son, the murder was captured on surveillance camera, and he was truly shot in the back. No dispute about that. You can see it on the tape. He shot in the back. Since there's no statute of limitation on homicide, if someone other than the district attorney that looked at my son's case, someone like you yourself hired him, look at it and you see different, is you able to go arrest the perpetrator on just on them grounds alone?
Does there have to be new evidence for that to happen, or can that be a revisiting of old evidence?
Well, it can be a revisiting of old evidence. I mean, the reality is, in my office, I have people assigned to the homicide unit who are very experienced and whose judgment I trust a great deal. And at the same time, just like I have prosecutors everywhere in the office, we have 125 prosecutors in Milwaukee County, and they all make decisions every day. And I'm in charge of all their decisions, right? I own all their decisions as the elected district attorney here in Milwaukee County. So every one of their decisions I may not hear about later on unless someone comes to me, a family member comes to me and says, would you please take a look at this? And so, of course, at the end of the day, that's my responsibility to re-examine something. And even if the evidence hasn't changed, that doesn't mean that my decision will be different, but it means that I'm taking a fresh look at it and analyzing everything that was examined by my office and the investigation. And ultimately, it is my responsibility for the decisions made by my office, whether I'm the one who personally makes them or not.
That's good. But I tried a couple weeks after my son's murder to talk with the district attorney, and I was threatened with being arrested for disorderly conduct because they kept telling me they couldn't tell me nothing. They didn't know nothing. I didn't think that was right. So I admit I got a little loud, but I should have been told, well, sorry, sir, that when we get some information, we'll let you know. Not just, no, we don't know nothing. We don't have any information for you. They're like saying just, we don't want to hear about it, get out of here. You know what I'm saying? That's how I felt. Yes, and it irritated me. So.
Well, it's always important. And I will tell you that anytime I have meetings with my staff, sometimes it's with my entire staff, sometimes just the attorneys, sometimes just with our support staff, who are very important too in our office because they answer the phone, right? They see someone at the front window, right? They are social workers who work in our homicide unit and help either at a crisis response role right after an incident or help navigate families through the court system, which is very difficult. I always say to everybody, we have to remember that our unique responsibility is to see people at one of the worst times of their lives. That's our job. That's what we signed up to do. That's why we're in this office. That's why we're serving this community. And it's a unique role that many other public service jobs don't have. Many other jobs don't have that. And we always have to remember that. Sometimes, admittedly, it's easy for us to be focused on the actual work of the job, the mechanics of the job, the evidence, and we're always working very hard, and we can never lose sight of the human side of this, right? And the fact that there are people who are at the other end of something very horrible that's happened. And so that's something, again, despite all of the schedules we carry, all the caseloads we carry, everything, we always have to remember that human element because that is the most important piece.
When a suspect is questioned in a homicide and your office decides, DA Levern, not to charge the person at that point, you're saying the investigation continues, but why isn't the family a bigger part of that conversation in the decision making?
Well, they should be. And if for some reason there's a case brought to us that a family feels like that they weren't consulted with enough, or that the information was not given to them by my office about our decision making in the case, I need to know about that, because we have a fundamental obligation, and every victim in every crime, not to mention homicide, has the fundamental right to understand what the prosecutor's decision is. That includes having an in-person meeting with us to better understand where we're coming from and what we think the evidence shows right now. So that is fundamental to our daily obligations in the office, and I would very much want to know if that's not happened for any family in this community.
What's the procedure about getting the case reopened?
Yeah, so what we can do in your situation, as mentioned earlier, is I'll be happy to sit down with you personally. I'll take a look at the video myself, and then we can have a meeting and discuss it further.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Susan, let's talk about your brother.
On Thursday, May 26, 2005, my brother Scooter took his last breath after being shot in the femoral artery. I waited for about a month and heard nothing from the detectives on his case. So I went to the crime lab on the south side and was told that they were about a year or so behind in processing the evidence. I was very persistent because I didn't get answers from the detectives. Has this changed in 20 years? Is the crime lab processing homicide evidence in a timely manner now? And are the detectives communicating with the victims' families? Same thing, communication and the crime lab.
In the last 20 years, I do know that technology has gotten a lot better for produce. I'm assuming you're talking about DNA evidence that was taken from the...
Yeah.
Yes, they've gotten a lot better.
They had fingerprints and they had quite a bit of evidence from his house.
It's gotten a lot better and a lot more expeditious as backlogs have gotten a little bit smaller. Captain Hutchinson deals with that every day. But as I said, I think the turnaround is significantly quicker than it was 20 years ago. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's perfect or it's that fast, because some of that scientific analysis does take time to be correct. And again, I apologize on the communication part. It's a reoccurring theme, and all I can say is that we're trying to get better at that, and we're trying to put in processes. Since Captain Hutchinson has been at homicide, we have instated a family contact log where we keep contact of all the times we've had communication and a brief synopsis of what the question or the contact was about, so anyone can pick up in the future and go, oh, I saw you communicate on this date, you gave us this, here's the result of that.
Would the evidence still be there if homicide cases are never closed?
Homicide evidence, as I said, it's...
Because we never got the things back.
Okay, that's something that we can make an commitment to absolutely check on.
So if I could speak to some of it, sometimes the DNA evidence has progressed so far, as Inspector Lau said, that advancements every year, it seems that they can do more with less DNA. Some of what's done, and we have to be mindful of that when we are sending items to the crime lab and asking for it to be processed, because some of that actually consumes samples when they do that processing. So we try to be judicious about what we have and what we expect to get from it, and the timing of technology at the time. 2005 to 2025, completely different. Yes, that evidence still should be maintained, likely by our department, and our cold case detectives can analyze what's been done with it between that first submission to the crime lab and now, and determine whether or not it's appropriate now to resend that item out. And oftentimes it is appropriate to send it out.
I mean, you have to realize that this is the worst day of our life.
Absolutely.
And the communication, the empathy, and the sensitivity or lack thereof was the worst part of homicide.
If I can speak to that, I was on homicide from 2008 to 2020 as a detective. So those 12 years I worked homicide, and I understand as a homicide detective that the way that I approach people, the way that I interact with people is going to dictate whether or not someone's going to be cooperative as a witness. If they are going to, as a family member, if I don't show that empathy to them and I don't spend the time that is appropriate with them and understand what you said, this is the worst day in your life, right? It's not just another day in the life of a homicide detective. It's the worst day in your life.
Yeah.
And we have to understand that as detectives. So going forward, maybe the outcome isn't going to be something that you want. Maybe it will be a self-defense that will not be able to be prosecuted appropriately. But if you have a trust that we've done everything that we can do, and if you believe that we, by the way we interact with you and by the words that we say, are going to do everything in our power to show honor to your loved one on your worst day, then we've been successful as detectives. And I don't tolerate staff members interacting the way that it seems that you may have been interacted with.
What looks like a peaceful garden is something much deeper. Planted in pain, watered by purpose, this is the neighborhood Scooter Schmidt's life ended. But his sister Susan made sure it wasn't where his story stopped. Scott Scooter Schmidt was known on Water Street as a gentle giant, a handyman, a helper, and a big kid at heart.
And he reminded me of a sunflower because he was just like a free spirit. He was in the St. Patrick's Day parade on rollerblades, waving and handing out candy.
On May 26, 2005, Scooter was shot inside his home. His sister Susan rushed to the hospital, only to learn Scooter didn't make it.
And my mom and dad both just fell to the floor. That was the worst day of my life.
Detectives questioned neighbors. There were witnesses, but not enough evidence. And year after year, the case went cold.
I didn't want to stay angry. I didn't want to become bitter. That's not who I am, and that certainly isn't who my brother was.
So she started planting. She turned a vacant lot only blocks away from where he was killed into a peace garden. And from the soil grew the Scooter Foundation, helping Milwaukee kids avoid violence and believe in their worth.
They need somebody to tell them that they're loved and, that they're important and they matter. And they just don't get enough of it.
The foundation runs monthly outings, and Susan says at first she was afraid to come here, but now she feels one with this community.
If everybody just did their little bit, we can make a difference. We can impact, the community and make it a better place and safer. The kids deserve that.
Scooter's ashes are buried here. His spirit lives on through the service he inspired, and his sister isn't giving up, not on justice and not on Milwaukee's future.
This is my justice right here.
I was gonna say this garden ensures the Scooter lives forever.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Susan continues growing something stronger than grief, hope.
In trying to get information from police or the DA's office, there's kind of this feeling where they're left feeling they're bothering you. Help us understand kind of the approach when it comes to families who are obviously very upset about what's happened in their lives.
I can speak to what we can communicate. Oftentimes we don't tell you everything that we want, that family members want to know. Oftentimes we have to protect the integrity of the investigation. And sometimes that seems dismissive or like we're hiding things or leaving things out. It's to protect the integrity of the investigation in that case. When we can communicate, we should communicate.
What about with the DA's office? Is it that kind of, are there times when communication could be better with families who are trying to get some answers?
I think that we could all be better all the time. I mean, let's just be honest. I like to think that we do a really good job. People that I work with are so dedicated. We don't do this for the money. I think everyone's kind of figured that out. Government lawyers aren't really here for the pay. We're here because we're dedicated to serving the community. And I always welcome, and please, I saw the question earlier and I was like, I hope no one ever felt that way with any of my cases. Because that's the last thing I want you to feel is that you're bothering me. Because you're not. Because the only reason I'm here is for you. Someone had asked about witness statements. There are people that would go and talk to those witnesses themselves, and then our evidence is tainted, and it makes it even less likely that we could charge the case down the road. What we're trying to do is get the best possible outcome for you. We do need to still consider fairness to the defendant and their rights as well. So we want to make sure we're doing the right thing at all times. But I would never want anyone to feel like they're bothering me.
Even if that's how you frame it, that we we're working on it. The case is open. We can't compromise the information, but we're told nothing, and just being told that we do have some evidence, we did collect this, at least we know that you're still working on it, because you feel left out in the wind completely. And that's just terrible.
And if I can piggyback what she's saying, sometimes when you do receive a phone call or someone answers, you do feel like you're being blown off. If I could just say it, because oh yeah, we have leads. Oh yeah, we have this. And it's almost as if you're rushing me to get off the phone, but you're hearing me, but you're not hearing me. And it does come off, I'll be honest, it does come off that we are bothering you. And I do understand, once again, that everybody has something to do. But it is a closure issue when we don't know what's happening. And then it already causes so many divisions when there's someone that passes away, right? So we're trying to keep the family together as much as possible. We're trying to make everybody understanding aware of what's happening. And we don't want our own families to try to retaliate because they're going with hearsay. We want to make sure that everything is done according, because we would hate to see on the news that it's a retaliation going back and forth. And we've seen that before. But as far as I do have to co-sign with what she's saying, is that sometimes we do feel a bother, or we're feeling that we're thrown off because, I got to get ready to go to the court. And I understand that, but it just makes you feel uncomfortable. And then that's where that trust barrier that I said before comes in, because the lack of.
Nora, we haven't talked much about your case.
The plea. Grant me justice against my adversary.
Inside her home, surrounded by photos, Nora Sheridan holds on tight to the memory of her son and clutches a scripture she says defines her journey.
That scripture reminded me of me because I have not given up on him.
More than 8 years after Rainier Sheridan was gunned down near 64th and Congress, she still yearns for that justice.
My son, who was a mama's boy, he loved his mother.
Rainier was 36, a father of 2 boys. He just landed a good-paying job and was named Employee of the Month twice. His 2 sons were his world. Nora says he was just hitting his stride.
I was really impressed to see how he just became a man.
February 16, 2017, everything changed. Nora was at work when police called. Rainier was shot 3 times in the back, found in their home, and later died at the hospital. Before he died, he called 911, a call that Nora feels could hold answers.
The other thing that was disturbing to me is they won't give me the transcript of when he called 911.
I also requested the 911 recording, but police denied it.
They said they found him in the living room. Then they said they found him in the bedroom. I don't know which is true.
Through grief and unanswered calls from investigators, she holds on to her home, to her faith, and to the hope that someone will come forward.
You never get over grief. You never get over someone that you carried all those years.
Nora remains in the home. It's a place she feels closest to her son, and a place where her fight for justice continues.
Justice will prevail for him, that God will not let his death go in vain.
Would you like to share and ask any questions?
What is the procedure when you want to hear the 911 tape? That's one. The other one is, what is the procedure when your loved one property comes back damaged to you? The other thing is, what is the procedure when the police don't call you until like 3 or 4 hours later after your loved one has been murdered, and then they tell you you can't go to the hospital, you can't go visit your loved one because the coroner has them already.
Sometimes when we're at a scene, it does take us time to find out who our victim is.
Can I interrupt you for a second? So when they called me, when I finally answered the phone, they said that we need your permission to enter your home. But when I got there, they were already in there. I mean, 4, 5, 6 police officers. So I didn't understand that.
And that's something that the captain and I can definitely look into and find out why that would have happened. In terms of the phone call you got hours later, sometimes, and I'm not speaking of your specific case because I don't know all the intimate details, but it does take us a little bit to figure out who our victim might be. And then sometimes to determine who the next of kin or the family members are, we have to do some research into that. And just with everything going on with the chaos of some of those scenes, this is not an excuse. This is a reason. I mean, with maybe holding on to some witnesses and processing the evidence in front of us that we need to get done, it does take us a little bit to get to our next of kin sometimes. Sometimes a family will hear about it and they'll come to the scene and they'll know right away. Other times we have to do some digging to find out just exactly who we need to notify. I'm sorry, your other question was on property?
So when I went to go pick up his property, for an example, his phone.
Okay.
His phone was demolished. It was broken to pieces. And so I asked, why was it like that? And they said because they were trying to get to the SIM card. But the SIM card has a slot, so
sure.
I don't understand.
Yeah. Again, without knowing everything, that's something I can definitely look into. I do know that we have properties such as cell phones. That's a key piece of evidence. And as much as we would love to be able to get that back to you intact with everything from the memories, it's also there's sometimes we have to do a certain amount of work to get inside that phone. Now, I'm not answering for the SIM card thing here, but sometimes damage is caused for us to be able to get in there and get the evidence we might need to build a case on the suspect here. There are damage claims, and I can talk to you after if you want to go learn that process.
Mm-hmm. And then the 911.
I do think 911 would be something that would be subjective to open records. I could help you with.
Yeah, Nora's case is very unique. There's a lot of unanswered questions. The 911 call was a big one you shared with me. I tried to do an open request for the 911 calls and were denied.
Because of the case?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, this is something I think we both think could answer a lot of questions.
I also think there's some other stuff that we can share with you after we talk, the captain and I, from talking with him about that case.
Do you have to set up an appointment to come in to talk to you, to the DA?
I'm accessible to anybody. Okay, I work for this entire community, and I will meet with any member of this community. It might be easier to schedule an appointment just so we don't miss each other because of some other things on my schedule.
The reason why I'm asking is because I used to go once a week, every week, to the DA's office, and I couldn't get anyone to come and talk to me.
And Nora, just for clarification, your son was killed in 2017.
Yeah.
So it has been 8 years.
8 years. So I used to go once a week, every week, to the DA's office, and I couldn't get anyone to come and talk to me. And so I just stopped calling, stopped going, because not only during that time, it was a lot of gun violence around that time. And so, I thought maybe you guys need a break.
I'm sorry that you made so many trips down without somebody talking to you, because that just shouldn't happen. At the end of the day, some member of my staff should be able to speak with you when you come to the front door. It may not be me every time, but I will make a point of meeting with you in person because I care very deeply about all of our cases, but these in particular are the most important in our community.
I do want to say something positive about the police and when this first happened. Even though I didn't get called until 3 hours later, I did get support from the police in the beginning. The detectives called me almost every day to see how I was doing. Red Cross came and prayed with me that day. So I can't say that, you guys are doing some positive things, but there's still a lot of unanswered questions that I need to know about.
For families like Nora's, where she has lost a loved one and it's been 8 years, at what point or at any point is the case put on the back burner or the investigation is done? I mean, when you say a cold case, does that mean it's just done with the investigation?
I'll make one comment is that we're never done with an investigation until it's solved and cleared. Somebody's been held accountable or some other ruling's been given. Captain Hutchinson here can share with you some of the cold case stuff. If you want to just expound on that a little bit.
Right. So our cold case, we don't call a case a cold case until all viable leads have been pursued. So that means we're working that case actively. Now, a cold case can turn into an active case via one tip, via one newly discovered piece of evidence, whatever it may be, and then the team will work on that case. So it's not, we do have dedicated detectives that just work on cold case, but once that case turns active and through whatever means that is, the whole team is going to be dedicated to that case at that point. But it, again, does not go cold until we're out of things to do at that point.
And I will say, we all know that grief is a journey. I mean, it's a journey. But this particular type of grief, when it's senseless gun violence, it never ends. You know, we can, grieve our grandparents or our family members and people that have gone through an illness to cancer. But when it's sudden death and it's so senseless like that, 20 years later, and that's something that I feel that unless you go through this horrible experience, you just don't understand how terrible that is. It just doesn't ever get any better.
WellSpace MKE is a healing space right on the bus line near 58th and Burleigh.
It's a beautiful, beautiful space.
Inside, you will find therapists like Simone Kilgore.
And trauma can be one traumatic incident like the loss of a loved one, or it can be complex like multiple losses.
Early in her career, Kilgore was with what was then the city's Office of Violence Prevention.
And we were called directly to the scene.
To be a presence for loved ones.
They are in shock and disbelief, and they're fearful, and they're angry, and it's so many emotions happening at one time.
Through her years of experience, Kilgore has connected with many families suffering immense loss.
This is a journey, and it's horrific, but they don't necessarily always need to hear me. And so as a trauma therapist, you have to do a lot to just be attentively present. To be present, so people feel seen.
Each person responds to trauma differently, but there are similarities.
Trauma affects you and your system, your neurobiology, how you see the world, how you think the world sees you. Not having the answers or closure causes a sense of hypervigilance also. A belief that I'm never safe, my loved ones aren't safe. Does somebody in the community know what happened?
And without answers, Kilgore says trusting institutions can be a struggle.
It's not to say that they're not doing the best that they can with the resources that they have, but a lack of justice for families causes them to kind of have these moral issues within themselves, like, did I do enough to protect that loved one? Most times. There's nothing that you could have done and nothing that you've done wrong. And so if I could share anything with families, it would be that.
Do you feel like, having gone through a horrible situation, any of you could answer this, that there are enough resources in this community to support people who have experienced the loss of a loved one like you all have?
I think so. There's a lot of grassroots that's out there that your church, your local church, they will support you.
I was going to add on to what she was saying. When I was at the Candlelight Visual, they actually had books, like little miniature books of resources to assist. But when you're in that moment, you tune out all of that. You depend on your doctors. We depend on law enforcement. We depend on the DA to assist us as much as possible. Yes, I could probably contact, Miss Deborah or a pastor or my therapist. My husband was shot and killed 10/21/24. So this is still like super fresh to me. And to me, I'm more lenient and dependent on you to give me the answers, because quite frankly, the resources, they don't have the answers that I need to close that chapter in my life. So they're there to assist me with grieving process, therapeutic measures, strategic strategies on how to process. But I need the assistance of the law enforcement and the DA to come back and say, we got your back. We're going to continue to look, because sometimes, and I'm just going to say the elephant in the room, as a Black woman, a woman of color, we feel that because my husband was a Black man, He looks like he's great at statue, was a gentle giant. So we look at that as a stamina, as because he's a black man, and this is what society says, so I'm not charging you, but they say because he's a black man, he's just going to be pushed to the burner. And that's how we feel. Then when we're calling in, now we're feeling like we're the bother. Now we're feeling the lack of communication. And now what's been said in society, we take that and we put it in like, well, maybe it is true. Maybe it is. Now we're wearing those different hats of the separation and putting boundaries of trust, when I should be able to say, no, I trust the detectives. I trust the DA. I trust the captain. They're going to call back. But then things happen, right? And it doesn't. So in my mind, my husband was a strong black person. He supported those in mental health. My husband was an amazing father, grandfather, supporter. He spoke and advocated for those that suffer in silence. My husband is silent now. Who's going to advocate for him? Who's going to stand up for him? So me as being his wife and his supportive, regardless of what anybody felt, regardless of how society may look at him on any type of social media platform, I still stand down 10 toes for my husband because he was our provider in the household. He took care of us. I had the best 6 years, but at the end of the day, I can't lean on them. I'm still waiting on my phone call.
Well, my son was killed 11/27/2024. I felt he was profiled because of his age.
Do you want to address the question about age and race?
I guess the best way to answer it is through our I think our clearance rates show that we care about all cases and we care about all victims. And it's unfortunate, and I apologize if you weren't able to see some of this, but we care about every case that we get and we take it to 110%. I apologize if someone said that to you. I guess I'd like to know if that was one of our members that said that, and that's something we can address. But we take a lot of pride in our homicide work, and each case is these guys. If I could show you the work, I think, if I could picture it and get it to you, I think you would all be impressed with the amount of care they put into these cases. But I agree with Mr. Laverne that sometimes we focus too much on the mechanics, the stuff just to get it done, and not the human element. And that's where we're trying to get better. That's why we're doing taking the steps we've taken, and what we plan on doing in the future to teach our members to have a little more empathy when dealing with victims' families. And unfortunately, we're not always. It's not our forte, and it should be.
I just want to go back to the grief counseling because I was fortunate enough to be able to go through grief counseling for over a year, and that really made a difference, all the difference in the world. I had small children. I had to get back to my life. But I think that, I was just lucky enough to know somebody that got me into grief counseling. And again, it's just pure luck. As a resource through the DA or through the police department, it would be really helpful to be able to provide the families grief counseling with somebody who's experienced in homicide, because our grief counselor wasn't. It still helped, and I did it for a whole entire year and even over and past and beyond that. But because it's such a different type of grief, if somebody was trained and could get with these families, I went to workshops for every holiday for the first year, because that empty chair at the holiday it's a horrible time, and if there could be some workshops or just get somebody on board and specifically trained that could be very sensitive to the needs of the families of the victims.
I really like that suggestion, and when we have our victim witness people in place, I'd like to have them reach out to you as a resource. But
there is a grief support. When the Red Cross comes out,
yeah, we do have chaplains. The chaplains.
But they give you the information on where to go for the grief support. The Sojourner Truth House, they have clinicians there that does the grief support.
So to be clear about the victim advocates that will be coming on board with the Milwaukee Police Department, will part of their responsibility, because it sounds as if we're hearing so much about the lack of communication, poor communication, will part of their responsibility at least be, okay, I'm going to answer these phone calls. I'm going to call these families back today. They can call me and I will get an answer for them and actually call them back.
Absolutely. That's going to be a lot of what they do. Not all of what they do, but it'll be a great part of what they do.
Yeah, and I see you kind of shaking your head in frustration, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but one thing I want to ensure is that when you bring these advocates in, that we still aren't seeing some of the same miscommunication issues that we've seen for 20 years. And I've watched these families try to reach their detectives, and they can't even get a voicemail. The phone rings 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And so with all the grief counseling you may receive, when you're just trying to get an update from your detective and you can't even leave a voicemail, I think, is that something we can fix?
Something that's with the captain and I have been working on that, and there's stuff that we can put in place. We can take some feedback from you guys. We'd be happy to do it. I can only say that we're committed to improving. We're never going to be perfect on that, but yes, we can get better, admittedly.
And as a community, is there something these families can do to make your job a little easier or to assist?
My first recommendation would be, if you're not getting a hold of somebody, is we can give out the mainline number just to request a supervisor right away, because they have access to all the detectives, and they might be able to greater help you, because they're in the office more often than the detectives are, who should theoretically be out in the field.
Well, and I'm wondering the same thing with the DA's office, because it seems like there's a lack of communication or feeling like there's a bother. Is there a protocol that works in terms of trying to get information or have better communication with the DA's office for families?
Certainly, at the time of the incident, we have crisis response specialists who help from the scene of the crime moving forward. And then once the case gets into the court system, we have assigned social workers who are victim witness advocates who are assigned to particular cases, and they are the direct point person that should be accessible to our victims and witnesses on all those cases.
But is there someone in that gray area where you have the case and you're looking at it and the families are like, where is my case? I don't have any answers. Is there somebody that they can reach out to in that gray area for answers?
Yeah, and what I should have clarified, and I apologize for that, is actually our victim witness stays along once the case comes into our office, even if it hasn't been issued yet. We have, as we're reviewing the case, whether the review takes 3 or 4 days or whether it takes months, we still have a victim witness person assigned to that case. So that's their responsibility. And in addition to the cases they have in court already, is to be a point person of contact for victim or witness in a pending case.
And I don't know if you feel like, from the answers today, do you feel like, okay, I understand they're working on the case and maybe they don't have time to answer my phone calls, or have any of their answers helped in any way understand?
I would say for me, it brought clarity, especially when you're doing direct service. So you do expect your detectives to be out there more than less. But now to have alternate numbers or someone else to speak to, that's never disclosed. So I think now having that can now bring more people more at ease as a community, and that we still feel like we still have a voice, because that's what's most important. We don't want our person to feel like it's now considered a cold case.
Well, me speaking with the head honcho, I feel like I might be able to get somewhere in my case. My situation is just to get my son's case reopened and relooked at by somebody, another set of eyes, and take it from there.
I say the proof is in the pudding. When I start calling, if I don't get a response, then I'll leave it as that.
That's not easy. That's not easy when you're trying and then you reach that brick wall, and then now you got to build up the courage again to keep trying.
Well, you have at least 2 names here.
Yeah.
You are.
Well, you and I are going to have a meeting set up before I leave here today.
Okay.
And what about you? Do you feel like you got a little bit of clarity coming from the families of the homicide and having this conversation? I mean, has it made an impact on you?
Well, absolutely. I think this is an example of, as I talked about, how I talk to my staff regularly about the human side of things. I have 4 people now that I can actually give specific reference to, who I've talked to, who've given me concrete examples of how it feels to be, not always knowing what's going on, right? And that's just a good way to, it's always nice to be able to offer some specific examples. So I appreciate that very much. And I appreciate the fact that, frankly, as I said earlier, you're here still in times of tremendous grief, and you're willing to share this publicly, and you're willing to be so open about that. I think it's a powerful statement on behalf of other people who may not be able to do that.
As much as we'd love to continue the conversation, there are many questions we didn't get a chance to ask, but hopefully this conversation can build the bridge, can show that as a community, we got to kind of do this together. We have to work together, not only to solve the problem with violence, but to solve the crimes that are happening in our community. I want to thank you guys for participating with us. Thank you very much. Talking to you off camera, I really get a feel that you care about this community, that you wanted to hear these voices, and you want to make a difference. So thank you very much. We can't do this without each other.
And I thank you all for being here and being vulnerable and being open to hearing how people feel and open to learning. And hopefully we all walk away, feeling better about our community and where we are, with our cases. So thank you so much. Our thanks to the Milwaukee District Attorney's Office and the Milwaukee Police Department for participating, and the Medical College of Wisconsin and Thrive On Collaboration for their partnership.
We'd also like to thank each family for sharing their stories. Voices for Justice would not be possible without the tireless work of Deborah Gillespie, founder of Mothers Against Gun Violence.
Thank you for watching.